It is Kenny for Kenny's Audiophile Record Reviews. Thank you very much for viewing my video. As always, if I say in all my videos, please like and subscribe. That'll help my small growing channel out. In this video, I'm going to review 4 albums. 2 of them are Blue Note records that were recommended by viewers in the comments section of one of my videos. So I'm going to review 2 Blue Note records. You definitely want to check those out. And also I'm going to review a live Stan Getz Astrud Gilberto album that is issued or reissued by Analog Productions Acoustic Sounds. It's part of the Verve series. Now my album is an original pressing, a close original pressing of the album. I don't have the Analog Productions Acoustic Sounds version. Mine is original pressing. I'm going to review that one. And the last album I review in this video, as I've been doing my last several videos, is a non-jazz album, a movie soundtrack album, an essential movie soundtrack album that is underrated, that you definitely want to check out. I do that by a legend, by the way. The album is by a legend, an R&B legend. You definitely want to check that out as a last review in this video. But I'm going to start with this album, Bobby Hutcherson, Oblique. This album was originally recorded in 1967, but for some reason it wasn't released on album format until 1979, and on CD format in 1990, I believe. This is a part of the Tone Poet reissue series, my version of the record that was issued in 2020. This album features Bobby Hutcherson vibes, Herbie Hancock piano, Albert Stinson bass, Joe Chambers drums. I'll show you the front of the album again, in the back of the album with the song listing. As well, the inside of the gatefold. The Tone Poet series, they do a spectacular job in terms of the artwork on their album covers. Album covers simply beautiful. I think it's worth the money, in my opinion. I think these are about $38, $39 or something like that. But I'm going to give a score of the performance and the sound on this album. I have an issue with the sound of this album, which I'll get to in a minute. You definitely want to stay tuned for that. But Bobby Hutcherson, for the most part, is in the center of the sound stage. And he sounds really great and spectacular, where the drums are in the right speaker. And I think Herbie Hancock and his piano and the bass are, around the center of the sound stage to in between the center of the sound stage and the right speaker, if I recall. My favorite song on this album is called Till Then. That is a beautiful composition, greatly performed by Bobby Hutcherson and crew on this album. However, I think the more engaging play of the musicians on this album, especially Bobby Hutcherson on vibes and Joe Chambers on drums, is the entirety of side 2, where they're just, the complexity of the compositions and the way they're jamming is just more of an engaging performance by Bobby Hutcherson on vibes and Joe Chambers on drums. Joe Chambers was tremendous on side 2. Again, so was Bobby Hutcherson. What a beautiful performance this was by all the musicians on this album. Bobby Hutcherson, Herbie Hancock, Albert Stinson, Joe Chambers. It's a great performance. Why was this delayed in being issued? Like I said, it was recorded in 1967, but wasn't issued in Japan until 1979, and I think in the United States till 1990 on CD. Why the delay in the issue of this album, I simply do not understand. But it's a very nice performance, one you should definitely check out. Oh, by the way, I say this in all my videos. I don't play music on my channel because of copyright infringement issues. I don't want to get a copyright infringement strike, and I want my video to be taken down. I just want to play it safe. But you should definitely check this out. The performance is a 9. It's a straight, legit, solid Bobby Hutcherson performance. He's jamming us on this album. So is Herbie Hancock. Like I said, Joe Chambers is tremendous on side 2. The issue I have with this album is the following. Let's say, for example, we have there's a right speaker and a left speaker. Now, the way you're looking at it is inverted, I know. But from my point of view, there's a right speaker and a left speaker. This recording only takes into account, or it only covers maybe 50 to 55% of the sound stage. If there's a right speaker and left speaker, the recording is like this. maybe from the center of the sound stage. Maybe you have echo and delay ambience. It goes a little bit beyond the center, and you have instruments that go to the right of to the right speaker. But from the center of the sound stage to the left speaker, there's very little action in terms of sound, and that's the issue I have this particular recording. At least this version of the record. I don't know if other versions of this record are different, but this version of the record does not take advantage of the entirety of the sound stage. Otherwise, it sounds spectacular. I mean, the vibes are very detailed. The drums, especially the cymbal hits, Herbie Hancock on piano. The bass is deep, very rich. In my opinion, it sounds great, but it doesn't take advantage of the entirety of the sound stage. So the sound A9 and the performance A9. Bobby Hutcherson, Oblique. This is a Tone Points version of the album that was issued, I believe, in 2020. I thoroughly enjoyed this performance. So thank you. I forgot who mentioned that in the comment section, so I thought I'd review that in this video. Another album that was mentioned in the comment section, one of my videos, is a great Dexter Gordon. This album was originally issued in 1962, reissued by the Blue Note Classic Vinyl Series. Dexter Gordon, Go. This album features Dexter Gordon tenor sax, Sonny Clark piano, Bobby Warren bass, Billy Higgins drums. I have to tell you something. This album, especially when you pump up the volume, Dexter Gordon is exceptionally dimensional. You hear the echo and delay and the timbre and the genuine feel and there's a genuineness, if that's a word, of his instrument in a three-dimensional sound space. Now, granted, he's coming from the left speaker. I'm used to I like the headliners to be like in the middle of the sound stage, but Dexter Gordon, I didn't mind. He just sounds so great. Like I said, just hearing that real saxophone. This was recorded exceptionally well in terms of capturing Dexter Gordon in the left speaker. I believe the drums may have been in the right speaker, but the drums in Dexter Gordon just simply sounded spectacular. The piano was recorded okay. It could have been a little bit better. Sonny Clark on piano could have got a little bit more presence out of the piano, and especially the bass. The bass needed more presence on this record. But if you want to hear Dexter Gordon, just the detail of Dexter Gordon playing the saxophone on record, pump up the volume and listen to Go, because he sounds simply amazing. It's just sensational and amazing, the detail they were able to extract from this recording. Kevin Gray and the presence of Dexter Gordon, a three-dimensional sound space coming from the left speaker, just simply sensational. I was using a Rega P8 turntable with a Apheta 3 cartridge when I was listening to this. The sound A9, the performance A9, just a very detailed, very holographic performance of Dexter Gordon in the left speaker. Just the echo and delay and the timbre of his instruments. I also have a 192 kilohertz 24-bit file version of this record, and I compared the two of them. The album extracts more. There was more detail, more presence, more echo and delay in the album version. I downloaded the 192 kilohertz 24-bit file from HD Tracks, and I listened to it through my Sony Z1ES Super Audio player, high-res player, I should say. And I had the output go to my Denifritt Pontus 15th edition DAC. The high-res file sounds great. It's just lacking just a tad in the echo, delay, and ambiance and the detail of recording. But the high-res file sounds great too. It's just the album takes it slightly to a higher level in terms of sonics, in my opinion. Sound A9, performance A9 on this recording. And if I did not give the Bobby Hutcherson album a score, sound A9, performance A9 too. The next album, I think as the posting date of this video, may be reissued already by Analog Productions Acoustic Sounds. My version is my original copy, and that is, I don't have the Analog Production Acoustic Sounds version of this record. Getz a Go-Go features Stan Getz on saxophone, Astrud Gilberto vocals, along with other musicians on this album. I think Gary Burton might be on this album, Kenny Burrell, is on, you know, a few tracks. I got to check. I don't think Gary Burton is part of this one, although he may be, but I don't think so. I don't think Gary Burton is part of this album. But this was recorded live. However, I think I read on the internet a year or two ago that some of these tracks were not part of the live recording dates in which they recorded this album. Those of you who are highly knowledgeable about this album, please leave your comments in the comment section below in that regard. I don't think all of these are live recordings. There's a picture of Stan Getz, Antonio Carlos Jobim, and Astrud Gilberto in the gatefold, although Antonio Carlos Jobim is not part of this recording. But this recording, I'll show you the song listing. This, again, the original album was issued in 1964. And there's a reissue version coming out. It's probably out already by Analog Productions Acoustic Sounds, part of the Verve reissue series. You might want to check it out if you're interested in this album. Listen on YouTube first, see if you like the songs. My favorite songs on this album are, or it might as well be Spring and the Telephone song. And also Only Trust Your Heart. All of those are vocals by Astrud Gilberto with great performances by Stan Getz. Overall, this was a very nice listen. The recording was good, not great. If I were to judge a sound, I'd give it an 8. I assume Analog Productions Acoustic Sounds, as part of the Verve reissue series, are going to take the sonics to a higher level. At least I hope so. It sounds quite good, not great. It's the back of the album. The sonics on this album, good, not great, though. I give the sound an 8, the performance an 8. It's a very nice live performance. This Getz Gilberto album of Stan Getz, Astrud Gilberto. However, again, sound 8, performance 8. Last year in 2024, this company called The Lost Recordings issued another live album by Stan Getz and Astrud Gilberto live at the Berlin Jazz Festival, I believe in 1966. And I prefer that performance over this one, although this one is quite good. Now, the Lost Recording issued an album of the Berlin Jazz Festival, Stan Getz, Astrud Gilberto in 1966, a CD and a high-res digital download. I purchased the high-res digital download. It's a 176.4 24-bit file. And it sounds quite good. And I enjoyed the performance of the live at the Berlin Jazz Festival over this album, although they're quite good. So you might want to check them both out. Getz, a Go-Go, the new Stan Getz quartet featuring Astrud Gilberto. Sound 8, performance 8. I don't know if I'm getting the Analog Productions Acoustic Sounds version of the record. I may consider it because I think Chad Cassom and his crew at Analog Productions Acoustic Sounds probably take the sonics to a new level. So I may consider getting that one down the line, though. Now, the next album I'm going to review in this video is a movie soundtrack album from the gentleman who is #1 on my list in terms of best albums ever made. I think the greatest album ever made was Marvin Gaye's What's Going On album, in my opinion. Now, this album features Marvin Gaye. What's Going On album came out, I believe, in 1971. This album, this movie soundtrack album, came out in 1972. Marvin Gaye, Trouble Man. This was a movie soundtrack. It was made during that blaxploitation era where they're making movies like Trouble Man, I think The Mac, Superfly, Shaft in Africa, all those type of movies coming out in the early to mid 70s. And again, this was issued on the Motown Tamla label. Hope the label is coming out on the video. If not, I apologize. And in terms of a soundtrack, this is a masterclass in terms of how a soundtrack, in my opinion, should be recorded and performed. Now, this could be an acquired taste. Before I get to the album, I'll show you the cover. And it folds out. Nice picture of Marvin Gaye. The back. This album, again, was issued in 1972. And before I get to the album review, the director, Ivan Dixon, he was famously on Hogan's Heroes, but he was a great and fabulous, underrated director. He directed this movie, not the soundtrack, but the movie he directed. He directed television shows like The Waltons, The Rockford Files, The A-Team, The Bionic Woman. So he was active as a director as well. And a lot of people don't know that about Ivan Dixon, but he was a very great director and actor. He had played that role great on Hogan's Heroes. I wish they would have gave him more responsibility as an actor on that show. Different conversation, different video for a different channel, I guess. But this album is a mix of instrumental music, soundtrack music from that time, intermixed with vocals by Marvin Gaye. The best vocals on this album by Marvin Gaye is Life is a Gamble and the song Trouble Man. The Trouble Man song on this album. You definitely want to check those out. If you're not familiar with this soundtrack, you should listen to the songs on this album if you can consecutively. If you do not want to, listen to Trouble Man and Life is a Gamble to get a vibrant groove of the the vocal tracks on this album. The instrumental tracks on this album are simply spectacular. You have Trevor Lawrence on, not the football player, he wasn't even born yet, the alto sax and baritone sax player. Trevor Lawrence does a tremendous job in terms of his spectacular play on this highly underrated soundtrack album. The vocals by Marvin Gaye are spectacular, on point. The instrumental tracks are spectacular, on point. If you are an audiophile and you have a great stereo setup, this album sounds sensational in a three-dimensional sound space, the way it's recorded and mixed. I'm giving the sound a 10 and the performance on the 10 on the Kinney scale. If you listen to this album, the vibrant groove may not fit you. It may not be for everybody, and it may be, fixed into the vibrant groove of 1972. But it was done spectacularly well, and this is an underrated album. But to me, in terms of a movie soundtrack, Marvin Gaye Trouble Man is a masterclass in terms of what you would want a movie soundtrack album to sound like and to be performed. Marvin Gaye Trouble Man. On my scale, the Kinney scale, a 10 in sound, a 10 in performance, a highly underrated Marvin Gaye performance, a highly underrated soundtrack that was issued on the Tamla label in 1972. This album came out a year after his What's Going On album. So it has, a similar vibe and groove as the What's Going On album. So that's a 10 all around, in my opinion. But if you have any of these albums, any of the albums that were featured in this video, please leave your comments in the comment section below. And as I always say occasionally in my videos, please check out those Amazon affiliate links in the description below. The sale of those products, so I get a commission for those sales that will help my channel going forward. Even if you don't buy those products, every time you want to buy something from Amazon, go through those links and buy something you truly want or need and enjoy, and I'll get a commission for that sale just as long as you go through those Amazon links. And tell your friends to do the same. That'll help my channel out because I get a commission for those sales. And also I have a PayPal donation link in the description below. That'll help my channel going out forward. Allow me to buy some records every now and then. Thank you very much for viewing my video. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. Please like and subscribe. God bless, strong love. And as I always say, more importantly than the music, keep the peace worldwide.